Hey, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Alex.
And I'm Emily. Good to see you. Well, good to have you in our ears, wherever you are right now.
Emily, quick question before we start. First time you ever sat in a room with the really big bosses, the board, the C-suite, whatever you want to call the top floor. Do you remember it?
Oh, I remember it. I remember my hands. They were freezing. Somebody asked me one simple question, and my brain just left the building, went out for coffee, didn't come back for a full 10 seconds.
10 seconds of silence in front of the CEO feels like a birthday.
It feels like a season of your life, honestly.
So that's us today. Board meetings, talking to top managers, the people who sign things, kill projects, and decide whether your idea lives or dies before lunch. And here's the thing nobody tells you early enough. Talking to those people is a completely different sport. It's not meetings, but bigger. It's a different game with different rules.
Right. The way you talk to your teammate over coffee, warm, loose, 20 minutes, lots of, anyway, so where was I? That same style in front of a board, it'll sink you. Not because it's wrong, because it's the wrong tool.
You wouldn't bring a soup spoon to cut a steak.
You would not. And nobody's born knowing this stuff, by the way. Nobody. The people who look smooth up there, somebody taught them, or they crashed and burned a few times and learned the hard way. We're just going to skip you ahead a little.
And a lot of this is language, the exact words. Because, and we say this every time, but it's true every time, the language of the boardroom travels. These words are truly international. Say, what's the bottom line? Or, let's take this offline. Or, can we park that for now? In London, New York, Singapore, Sydney, or Dublin, and everyone at that table just gets it. Instantly. No translation needed.
They're kind of a secret handshake. Once you use them right, the room reads you as, oh, this person's done this before. Even if your knees are knocking under the table.
Which they will be. That's allowed. So here's where we're headed today. First, what these people actually want from you. Because it's not what most folks think. Then, the one skill that matters more than any other, and we've got a name for it that you won't hear anywhere else. Then the hard stuff. Answering a question when you've got nothing. Pushing back on someone 3 levels above you without torching your career. And the little things that quietly make you look like a pro.
And near the end, we'll walk through your very first board meeting, start to finish, so all of this actually sticks. Grab a coffee. Let's get into it. Okay, big one first. When you stand up in front of top managers, what do they actually want from you? And I want people to really sit with this because the honest answer surprised me when it finally clicked.
Go on.
They don't want your information. They can get information anywhere. They've got whole teams whose entire job is information. What they want is for you to make their next decision easier. That's it. That's the whole thing.
Say that again, because that's the ball game.
Make their decision easier. You are not there to show them what you know. You're there to hand them a cleaner, faster yes or no. The person who does that becomes the person they want in the room, every time.
And this flips how you prepare. Most people build their presentation like a mystery novel. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, background, context, and the big reveal on slide 42. Top managers hate mystery novels. They want the last page first.
They really do. There's a phrase for the mistake: burying the lead. The lead, spelled L-E-D-E, is the main point, the headline. Bury it, and you've hidden the one thing they came for under a pile of throat clearing. Don't make them dig.
Here's a picture that helped me. The higher someone sits in a company, the thinner the air gets. And I mean that almost literally, like a mountain. Up at the top, there's less oxygen, less time, less patience for detail, a much shorter fuse. But there's also this incredible view. They see the whole range, the whole business. So when you talk to them, you can't talk the way you'd talk down in the valley with your own team.
Thin air. I like that. Down in the valley, you've got all the time in the world and you love the details. Up top, every extra sentence costs them something.
And they're doing this all day. You're their fourth meeting before 10 a.m. By the time you walk in, they've already made 9 decisions and skipped breakfast. Read the room with that in mind. That's not coldness, that's just the altitude.
One more thing they want, and this one's quiet but huge. They want to trust the person, not just the numbers. A senior leader is basically a professional risk reader. They've spent 20 years watching people talk, and their gut is scary good at spotting who's solid and who's blowing smoke. So half of what they're judging isn't your idea at all, it's you. Are you steady? Do you own your stuff? When you don't know, do you say so?
Which is a whole topic on its own, and we'll get there. But hold that thought. Steady beats slick, every single time. So if the whole game is make the decision easier, the number one skill is getting to your point fast. And this is where most smart, hardworking people fall apart. Not because they're not smart, because they're too smart. They want to show all their work.
The homework problem. Look how much I did. And in school, that got you an A. Up here, it gets you a glazed-over stare and a, can you wrap it up?
So Emily and I actually made up a name for the fix because we couldn't find one we liked out there. We call it the altitude cut.
The altitude cut. Never heard it anywhere because we invented it on a walk. Here's what it means. Before you walk into that room, you take your update and you cut it. Hard. For the altitude of the person you're talking to. The higher they sit, the thinner the air, the more you cut. You keep slicing off the nice-to-know stuff until only the load-bearing sentence is left.
Load-bearing, like a wall in a house. Some walls are just decoration. Knock them out, nothing happens. But one wall is holding up the whole roof. That's your load-bearing sentence. The one thing that, if it's the only thing they remember, still does the job.
So the altitude cut is basically, what's the one wall holding up my whole message, and can I lead with that? Let me make it real. Down in the valley, to your team, you might say, so I looked at the numbers over the last 3 quarters, and I pulled the regional data, and after checking with finance, and there were a couple of weird months, but basically our costs in the North region have been climbing, and I think we should switch suppliers. Fine for your team.
Now take the altitude cut.
To the board, we should switch suppliers in the North. It'll save us about $200,000 a year, and I've got the numbers behind me if you want them. Boom. Load-bearing sentence first. Everything else is on standby, ready if they ask.
And notice what she did at the end there. I've got the numbers behind me if you want them. That's the magic move. You're not hiding the detail, you're holding it in your back pocket. You lead with the point, and you let them pull the detail out of you, instead of dumping all of it on the table and making them wade through it.
Let them steer. They will ask for exactly the depth they want. Some will go, great, do it, next. Some will go, wait, walk me through the 200,000. Both are wins. What you never want is to answer questions nobody asked.
Little test you can do at your desk. Say your point out loud in one breath. 1. If you run out of air before you hit the main idea, it's too long for the top floor. Take another cut.
The one breath test. Brutal, but it works. And here's a bonus nobody warns you about. Cutting hard actually makes you look more confident, not less. When you trim to the load-bearing sentence and then stop talking, the room reads it as, this person knows exactly what they think. Rambling reads as the opposite, even when your idea is brilliant. Let's talk about your voice. Not the words now, the sound. Because you can have the perfect load-bearing sentence and still blow it in the first 3 seconds if you walk in wrong.
There are 2 ways people go wrong up there, and they're opposites. 1. You shrink. You get small and apologetic. Lots of, sorry to bother you, this might be a silly question, I just wanted to maybe suggest. You're basically waving a little white flag before you've said anything.
And the other way?
The other way, you puff up. You go big and fake important. Suddenly you're using $10 words you'd never use at lunch. Your voice drops an octave. You're leveraging synergies to drive impact. Everyone can smell it. It's like a kid wearing their dad's suit.
So, what's the target between shrinking and puffing?
Just level. Talk to them like they're people, because they are. Same voice you'd use to tell a respected uncle something serious. Warm, plain, steady. Not up, not down. Level. My old boss called it talking across the table, not up at the ceiling.
I love that. And here's a trick that sounds too simple to work, but it's saved me 100 times. Slow down. When we're nervous, we speed up, and fast talking sounds scared. So you deliberately drop your pace, maybe put a little pause right before your main point. That pause does something almost unfair. It makes people lean in. It signals, here comes the important bit. Powerful people use silence like a tool. Nervous people fill every gap.
The pause is a power move. Nobody's going to grade you on how many words per minute you can fire off. They're going to remember whether you seemed like you had a firm grip on things.
One more, and this one's physical. Land your first sentence. Whatever your opening line is, know it so well it's boring to you. Practice it out loud, in the shower, in the car, until you could say it half asleep. Because nerves live in the opening. Once you get the first 20 seconds out clean, your body calms down and the rest just flows. It's the getting started that's terrifying.
Yeah, get the plane off the ground and the flying's easy. It's the runway that's scary.
Okay, this one. If you only take one thing from this whole episode, maybe take this, because it separates the amateurs from the people who get invited back. A top manager asks you something, and you don't know the answer.
The floor opens up. Everyone's looking at you.
And the temptation, oh, the temptation, is to make something up, to fill the air, to sort of talk in a big circle and hope it sounds like an answer.
Do not do that. Please, whatever you do, don't bluff. And here's why it's a killer move. These people got to the top partly because they are world-class at smelling a bluff. It's a survival skill up there. You wander into some vague, made-up answer, and they clock it in about 2 seconds. And now, the problem isn't that you didn't know one fact. The problem is they can't trust anything else you said today.
One bluff poisons the whole well.
The whole well. So here's what you do instead, and it's almost embarrassingly simple. You just say it. I don't know. But, and this is the part that turns it from a weakness into a flex, you say it and then you close the loop. I don't know off the top of my head. Let me get you the exact figure by end of day. Boom. Done.
Notice what just happened there. You didn't just admit a gap. You took ownership of closing it, and you put a time on it. By end of day, by 3 o'clock, by tomorrow morning, a specific time. That tiny move flips the whole thing. Now you don't look like someone who didn't know. You look like someone who's reliable and honest under pressure, which, remember, is half of what they're actually buying.
A senior friend of mine put it perfectly once. He said, "Kid, nobody expects you to have every number in your head. They expect you to not lie to them and to do what you said you'd do. That's the whole job, really. Say the true thing, then keep your word."
And honestly, watch how a good, "I don't know, I'll find out by 4" lands in the room. People relax. Because now they know that when you do say something with confidence, it's real. You've become a reliable narrator. That's gold. That's worth more than any answer you could have faked.
It's counterintuitive. The move that feels weak in the moment is the one that builds the most trust. Every time. All right, spicy one. Someone way above you, your boss's boss, the head of the whole thing, says something in the meeting that you think is wrong. Flat wrong. Do you say something? And if you do, how do you not commit career suicide right there at the table?
First, yes, sometimes you should. The whole point of being in the room is that you see something they can't from up there. If you just nod along, you're furniture. Nice furniture, but furniture. They didn't invite you to agree. They can get agreement from a mirror.
But there's a way to do it that keeps your head on your shoulders.
There is, and the trick is, agree with the destination, differ on the road. You almost always want the same end goal. More customers, less cost, a better product. So you start there, out loud. We're totally on the same page about growing the North region, 100%. Now you're on their team. Then you offer a different route. The way I'd get there is a little different, and here's why. See what happened? You didn't say, you're wrong. You said, we want the same thing. I've got another way in.
That "here's why" is doing a lot of work, too. You never just plant your flag and stand there. You give the reason quickly, and then, and this is the hard part, you let it go. You make your case once, cleanly, and then you hand the decision back to them. That's my read, but it's your call. And you mean it.
Because it is their call. That's the reality. You're not there to win the argument. You're there to make sure they've got the full picture before they decide. Say your piece, give your reason, then get out of the way. If you keep pushing after they've heard you, now you're not brave, you're just a problem.
There's a phrase that captures the whole spirit of this. Disagree and commit. Meaning, you push hard for your view before the decision. You fight for it, respectfully. But the second the boss makes the call, even if it went against you, you get behind it fully. No sulking, no, well, I told you so, 3 weeks later. In before, all in after.
The people who master that? Leadership trusts them with the real conversations, because they know you'll tell them the truth to their face and then row in the same direction anyway. That's rare. That's a superpower. Let's talk numbers, because the board lives and breathes them, and this is where people get rattled. Rule 1, and write this on your hand. Never make a top manager do math in their head.
Ooh, yes. If the answer is, we'll save 15%, don't say 15% and leave them to figure out what that's worth. Do it for them. 15%, that's about 300 grand a year. You just did their homework. They love you a little for it.
And here's a strange one that took me years to learn. One number they trust beats 10 numbers they have to check. If you flood the room with stats, you're not looking thorough, you're making work for them. Every figure you throw out, some part of their brain goes, is that right? Where'd that come from? Give them the one number that matters, stand behind it, and stop.
What about when they push back? When someone goes, I don't buy that number. Where's it from?
Stay flat, calm. This is not an attack, even when it feels like one. It's how they think, out loud. So you just answer the question. Fair question. It's from the finance team's Q3 report, and I can send you the exact page. No defensiveness, no scrambling. If you know, you say where it's from. If you're not 100%, you say that too. That one's a rough estimate. I'd want to double check before you bet on it.
That honesty about how solid a number is, that's huge. Tell them which numbers are rock and which numbers are a bit of a guess. They're making million-dollar bets. They need to know the ground they're standing on.
And the temperature of the room, by the way, you set a piece of that. A room borrows its mood from the calmest senior person in it. So if a question comes in hot and you stay easy and even, you actually cool the whole thing down. Get flustered and the nerves spread. Be the calm one, even if you're faking it a little.
Fake calm becomes real calm after about the third meeting, I promise. Quick round. Things to leave at the door. Stuff that quietly makes top managers trust you less, even if they never say a word about it.
Number 1, the hedge pile. I think, kind of, maybe, sort of, probably, if that makes sense. One hedge is human, a whole pile of them, and you sound like you don't believe your own idea. If you don't believe it, why should they?
Number 2, throwing your team under the bus. Somebody asks why a thing slipped, and you go, "Well, that was Dave's department, not me." Instant red flag. The senior people are watching, and what they see is this person points fingers. Nobody wants to promote a finger pointer into a bigger job. Take the hit for your team in public. Sort it out in private.
Number 3, guessing a number out loud. We beat this one already, but it's worth repeating because it's so tempting. A made-up figure to fill the silence can follow you around for months. Didn't you say 50,000? Well, I was ballparking. Just don't. Let me get you the real one, every time.
Number 4, and this one's sneaky, dragging it out after you've won. You made your point, they said yes, and then you keep talking, adding more reasons, reselling something that's already sold. Amateurs do this constantly. You close the deal, and then you reopen it with your own mouth. When you get the yes, say thank you and land the plane.
Land the plane. Best 2 words in this whole episode, maybe. Which brings us to the close. And endings matter way more than people think. How you get out of the room is half of what they'll remember.
Most people just kind of trail off. So, yeah, that's about it, I guess. Any questions? And they sit down. Total waste. That last moment is prime real estate, and they're leaving it empty.
Instead, close with the ask. Be dead clear about what you want to happen next. So what I'm asking for today is a yes on switching suppliers, and I'll have it moving by Friday. They know exactly what you want and exactly what happens if they nod. No guessing.
And then, this is the part that takes nerve. You shut up. You make the ask and you let the silence sit. Don't rush to fill it. The quiet feels like an hour, but it's doing your work for you. Let them think. The person who can sit in a little silence looks 100 times more sure of themselves than the person who nervously keeps adding words.
There's one more move that's almost cheating, it's so good. Offer to send the recap. I'll write up the 3 decisions from today and send it around this afternoon. Because here's the secret. Whoever writes the summary quietly controls what everyone remembers happened. You're not spinning anything. You're just the one holding the pen. And the person holding the pen shapes the story. Very few people fight you for that job, and it's one of the most powerful seats in the room.
The pen is mightier than the meeting. Okay, let's put it all in one place. Alex, throw me a situation and I'll walk it like it's really happening. Because a list of tips is easy to forget. A story sticks.
You got it. Here we go. It's your first big one. Next Tuesday, you're presenting to the board. You want them to approve money to switch suppliers in the North region. You've got a mountain of data and about 9 minutes on the agenda. Monday morning. What do you do first?
First, I do not open my 40-slide deck and start polishing. That's the trap. Instead, I go find my load-bearing sentence, the one wall holding up the whole thing, which is, switching suppliers in the North saves us about $200,000 a year. That's the roof. Everything else is decoration.
Then
I take the altitude cut. These are the top people. Thin air, no time, big view. So I slash everything down to that one line plus maybe 2 supporting points. And I stuff all the juicy detail into my back pocket for when they ask. I run the one breath test on my opener. If I can't say my main point before I run out of air, I cut again.
you're in the room. 9 minutes on the clock.
I land my first sentence, the one I practiced in the shower until it was boring. Level voice, not shrinking, not puffing. I lead with the point, not the mystery novel buildup. And I do the math for them. $200,000 a year, which is about 15% of that budget line. One number I trust, and I stop.
The CFO leans in and says, "Where's that 200,000 from? I don't buy it."
Flat and calm. Fair question. It's the finance team's Q3 numbers. I'll send you the page. And I'll be straight with you. The savings could be a bit lower in month 1 while we switch over. After that, it holds. Honest about what's rock and what's a guess. I don't get rattled, so the room doesn't either.
Then, the head of the whole division says she'd rather stick with the current supplier. And you think she's wrong.
Same page first. We both want the North region running leaner. Completely agree. Then the other road. The way I'd get there is the switch, and here's the one reason why. I say it once, I give my reason, and then I hand it back. That's my read, but it's your call. I've said my piece. I'm not going to keep hammering.
Someone asks a detail you genuinely don't know.
I don't have that one in my head. I'll get it to you by end of day. Specific time, no bluffing. On to the next.
And you close?
I close with the ask. So what I'm after today is a green light to start the switch, and I'll have it in motion by Friday. Then I zip it and let the silence do its thing. And whatever they decide, I offer to send the recap that afternoon, because I want to be the one holding the pen. Then I land the plane. Thank you, done, sit down.
Emily, if somebody did exactly that in their first board meeting, they would walk out with a reputation. That was the whole episode in 90 seconds, and every single tool was in there.
And if some of that flew by, no stress. Play it again tomorrow. It lands different the second time, once the pieces connect.
All right, we're going to let you go, but you know we're going to give you one small thing to actually do this week, because listening is nice, and doing is where it changes you.
Here it is, and it's tiny. This week, before your next update to anyone above you, even a quick message to your manager, find the load-bearing sentence first. Just one line, the thing that, if they only read that, still does the job. Lead with it. Then let them ask for the rest.
That's it. One sentence, up front. Do that a few times, and I promise it starts to rewire how you think, not just how you talk. And then come tell us in the comments how it went. Did they respond faster? Did you feel that little click? We read every one.
And if this was useful to you, you know the drill. Give it a like, hit subscribe, and pass it to that one friend who's got a big meeting coming up and a stomach full of butterflies. New episodes twice a week.
Next time, another topic you asked for, so stick around. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Go find your load-bearing sentence. Talk soon. Bye, everyone.
See ya!